Hello, I'm Elfin Bow, and welcome to Elfin Bow's January Jackanory. Get yourself cosy and comfortable and listen to the story of the Elves and the Shoemaker. Once there lived a shoemaker who, through no fault of his own, had become so poor that all he had left was enough leather to make a single pair of shoes. That evening he cut the leather for the shoes and was planning to work on them in the morning. A man with a clear conscience, he lay down quietly in his bed, commended himself to God, and fell asleep. The next day he said his morning prayers and was about to sit down to his work when he saw that the shoes were finished and laid out on his workbench. He was so astonished that he had no idea what to say. When he took the shoes in his hands to get a closer look at them, he saw that the workmanship was perfect and that there was not a false stitch on them. It was as if the shoes were intended as a masterpiece. Before long, a customer came in, and the man liked the shoes so much that he paid more than the usual price, and the shoemaker was now able to purchase the leather for 2 pairs of shoes. He cut the leather in the evening and was planning to work on them the next morning with renewed energy, but there was no need to do that. When he woke up, they were already finished. Once again, he found customers for them, and they gave him so much money that he could now buy leather for 4 pairs of shoes. The next morning he discovered 4 pairs of shoes on his bench, completely finished. And so it continued. Whatever he cut in the evening was finished by the morning, and before long he had a decent income again, and he had become a prosperous man. Now, it happened one evening, not long before Christmas, that the man was cutting up the leather for the shoes, and before retiring he said to his wife, "Suppose we stay up tonight and try to find out who is giving us a hand?" The wife thought it was a good idea, and she lit a candle. Then they hid behind some clothes that were hanging in the corner of the room and kept a lookout. At midnight, 2 tiny little naked men sat down at the workbench, took all the work that had been cut out, and began to punch, sew, and hammer so nimbly and skillfully with their little fingers that the shoemaker just stared in amazement. They didn't stop until they were completely finished with everything and the shoes were on the bench. Then they ran off in a flash. The next morning, the shoemaker's wife said, "Those little fellows have made us rich. We have to find a way to show our gratitude. They must get cold running around with nothing at all to wear. How about if I sew some little shirts, coats and vests and breeches for them? And I can also knit a pair of stockings for each of them, and you can make them a pair of shoes." The shoemaker said, "That sounds like a good idea to me." In the evening, when they had finished everything, they put the presents on the table where the shoemaker usually put the cut of leather, and then they hid in order to see how the little men would react. At midnight, they scampered in and were about to start their work when they discovered the cute little articles of clothing in place of the cut-out leather. At first they were puzzled, but then they seemed elated. They slipped quickly into their beautiful clothes, smoothed them down, and sang a little song. "Don't we look just trim and spruce? Here's to pleasure, we're footloose. Don't we look just trim and spruce? Here's to pleasure, we're footloose." They skipped, danced, and jumped over the chairs and benches, and finally they danced out of the door and were never seen again. The shoemaker continued to prosper for the remainder of his life, and he succeeded whenever he tried his hand at anything. The end. And if you have enjoyed this story today, please like and comment and share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss any of the other stories throughout January. Thank you for joining me. Lots of love to you all. Goodbye.